Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So here we have Wave 2 of the Warden changes. Additionally, I want to cover some teasers with regards to the new dungeon. We have some information on what enemies we will be facing, and additionally, a lot of resources you can acquire to get some background reading if you wanted to. I'll cover all that later on in the video, as we can already see a lot of the achievements you can get within the new dungeon, which does spoil some things. So first of all, Warden. It had an initial pass over, just updating some of its encounters and abilities just to make them a bit more inviolable. There was some adjustments to Hunter as well, albeit pretty minor, mainly with rate of change getting a lot more friendly there. And this time around, Wave 2, we have some further changes, mainly to feats, making them an awful lot better. So we jump to the update notes, thankfully written up by Brett Norton, and we have, first of all, Rapid Strike, that's been adjusted. Cast time is going to be a little bit longer, but the DPS should be unchanged as they have gone and increased the damage of that a little bit. Just so that you don't end up with, errors in the animations of that. Now with Hunter, they have gone and updated the Thorn's Root feat to properly reflect how it works against, say, controlled immune enemies, and the damage will benefit properly from the ranged tag if you had bonuses with that. So just having a look, we can see Thorned Roots now has that description there. Moving on, however, we go to the Warden changes. Thorn Ward has been fixed, so it should no longer be 15,000 magnitude per tick. It'll just be 150 as what it properly shows in the tooltip here. 6 hits of 150 magnitude, so decent damage over time if you want to be running single target ranged abilities. Then Thorn Strike encounter, the cast time has properly been put to that 0.7 seconds, just so you aren't running into visual effects errors. Now, Aspect of the Lone Wolf will now also increase accuracy. That's right here, so 5% deflect, 5% accuracy at maximum. Moving on, Deft Strikes. The feat has been greatly improved to be 25% damage bonus, and you can see that right here. So use a melee encounter power, your next ranged encounter power will deal 25% more damage. Vice versa. So just a massive increase from the 12%. Now the focused feat also got an improvement. It now will give you the stacks much quicker, giving you the maximum of 20% damage in just 5 seconds. This allowing you to gain those benefits of either 20% damage with ranged abilities or 20% damage with melee abilities, and you aren't punished as heavily if you were to switch stance, because you just need a few seconds in order to get all those stacks back again. Now Blade Hurricane has been updated, so now it can actually work with both melee and ranged attacks, and additionally it will refresh whenever you use another ability. This is a very big quality of life improvement there, and should help a lot with burst damage, because you can now jump into a fight and don't have to worry about, say, using encounter powers back to back. Before, you kind of wanted to space them out so that you would take advantage of your flurry, whereas if you were to have just spammed them normally, you'd pretty much just finish casting your encounter powers and Blade Hurricane would end, because casting another ability would not refresh the duration until it had expired, and then you could re-trigger it. But now it will refresh, which is huge. Helps a lot with burst damage. Then Storm Conduit simply being reworked to apply a 10% debuff to the target, increasing all your damage against them. And then Skirmisher's Gambit feat very nicely will no longer reduce your critical strike, you'll simply just gain 10% crit severity. Nice free stats. Of course, the other option matching with that is to have Throw Caution give you an additional 5% damage boost. So depends if you need the stats or not. And then Nature's Envoy will now apply both melee and ranged flurry, just like Blade Hurricane. So that's when you use your Forest Ghost and gain that benefit through it. And ultimately, I think still Enhanced Conductivity is going to be better, particularly when in party content. I just find in solo content, Forest Ghost is very nice to be able to essentially go invisible and the enemies don't attack you. Overall, I'm actually not sure how Warden stands right now. I have not done much testing whatsoever in single target. I find multi-target damage does pretty well here. You can kill the enemies within, yeah, like 2 encounter powers, but to be honest, I haven't been here with other classes, so I am not sure what a good comparison is there. Maybe they're just super weak, or my build is just 90,000 item level and these guys just get power creeped so easily. But yeah, feels great, at least here. And even killing this boss here, it is not too much trouble. You're just using your melee attacks here. Ideally, we would have a better single target attack power than one of our multi-target ones. And you can kill this guy who's got like 10 million hit points pretty smoothly. That's not too hard. And yeah, Ranger is really fluid with regards to having this small dodge ability you can use like so often. Oops, he still knocked me back there. We can just tank this and he's dead. But again, in single target there, if I wanted to switch, I'd be better off with Boar Charge instead of this Steel Breeze for some more damage. But the Steel Breeze is here for multi-target, as Jet's generally what I'm doing here. And otherwise, mobility with Marauder's Rush just feels great. But moving on, let's jump to the new dungeon teasers that I can present to you guys. So first of all, we can see pretty much the full set of meta achievements with the new dungeon called Hero of the Multiverse. You'll probably get that as a title if you achieve this, along with some cape. Don't know what yet. We'll have to actually get all these, I assume, to find out. Or maybe they'll make a presentation when the module actually launches. You've got the basic ones here, just completed on Master, Get Perfection, Get Dash, Get Minimalist. But then we get some interesting ones. We get Star Stabilizer. Complete the dungeon without letting the star stability level go past 5. So there's going to be some sort of mechanic with that. Then we've got Emperor's Bane. Complete the Imperial Citadel Master Dungeon after breaking Princess Zeleth's shield 3 times. Here we can already see that is going to be one of the bosses for sure. And well, that boss is on the Spelljammer art. This guy right there with his pet dragon. Who knows, we may even be fighting that. You can see he's basically the cover page for Light of Zagraxis, that adventure campaign you can play with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. You can even see, say, his stat block here with a bunch of different abilities. He may very well have some mechanics that mirror what, say, these actions can do in bonus actions. But again, just reading through the achievements here, we can see that he's at least going to have like a shield that we'll need to get through. Then another boss we have is a Zodar, where we need to defeat him without anyone taking damage from refracted light. Now, a Zodar is kind of like an animated suit of armor here, and it does have a whole bunch of other abilities. He can be pretty powerful, even casting the Wish spell. But yeah, you can read through his abilities there. Not sure how well they reflect these achievements. Stay out of the light. And there's another one, Don't Drink the Water. Defeat Zodar in the Citadel without anyone touching the astral font. So I assume there's going to be some sort of a fountain there as well, along with, say, light beams that we might have to avoid. And then finally, there seems to be the other boss, which is a monstrous menagerie, where you'll have to defeat it without killing any spiders. And another achievement with that, where without receiving a knock-up effect from a Thune Hulk with their ground slam attacks. So I assume the first boss is probably going to be like a horde of enemies, and they're probably going to have a collective hit point bar, and you're going to have to kill them. There's probably going to be some other mechanics, and it's probably going to be a whole mess. The second boss is probably the Zodar, with a bunch of light effects. You've got your fountain and water effects. And then the final boss is most likely the Prince. Prince Zeleth with his shield and probably other mechanics too. Now we will most likely be fighting them in the Imperial Citadel, which also has the Temple of Light. That's this thing up here with the Light of Xeraxis over here, which is like this star which they're taking the energy from. I'm not fully sure about all of this. I have not read the module, but you can get the book Light of Xeraxis. You have pages like this, the Temple of Light here, where we'll face the prince. You've got some different levels in this tower, and here you would be fighting the prince once you enter the temple, also fighting the Zodar, and again that's what like the Temple of Light looks like. The entire citadel is here, and it kind of looks like a floating butterfly when you look at the entire thing of it. The location I am at right now is the Arena of Blood, and they seem to have done a very good representation of that arena. You can see that in the art just here. And then if we have a look around, I'm just going to release here. That is the arena they've just created there. Even got the tower and the landing platform over there with a dragon on it, which I'm not sure why. But again, look at the art and that's all there. They done a pretty good job mirroring that. I'd be pretty excited if I was a hardcore D&D fan. But lately I have not been following their official adventure releases and campaigns. Just been too busy with other things. But that is ultimately it. Again, that's the full set of meta achievements so far. They may very well adjust these, change them, add new ones. I'm hoping the dungeon will become available soon. Usually they have like a weekend, 3-4 days, and then have 2 weeks to implement fixes and changes, and then have another few days for us to test before it ends up going to live. So they don't exactly have a lot of time on that, so I would be expecting it to be very soon that it gets released. Otherwise, hopefully this was somewhat insightful. Warden Wave 2 changes on top of some teasers with the new dungeon. I'm excited to jump in there and figure out how it all works. Once again, a massive thank you to all of these channel members for your added support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.